The 2022 UC football season has been amazing.
Hey, that's how we set them up. Pound, 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 pound. Nail 'em. Good job.
We are now video casting along with podcasting, so you can hear us, you can see us, you can talk to us.
Sound like a TV show.
We will be talking about the Coaches Roundtable.
And I see half of the game here, half of the game there, because I want to get eyes on these teams that we're ranking.
Welcome into the Ute Conference Extra Point Podcast. This is day 2 of Bowl Championships, John.
Day 2.
Day 2. Jeff Gorange, John, Maverick, Halliburton. What do you got? What kind of a shirt do you have on today? No.
You were laughing
That
at me.
doomsday defense hasn't been around since like the 70s.
It's back, finally.
Tom Landry would have to be resurrected.
He did. You didn't see him on the sideline?
Oh, no. I saw him with McCarthy. And
Actually, it's his son, Ron Landry.
yeah. This is the Extra Point Podcast in day 2 of our Bowl Championship matchups. So we're going to be looking at Mity Mites, Gridiron, and Bantams.
The big boys.
The big boys, the ones that, they start to play. They start to have some real fun. Now, it's not saying that the littles don't, but the schemes change, the intensity changes. Well, I don't know. I've seen some scout games this year that the intensity needed to drop a few decibels. But So let's jump into this. So we're going to start with our Continental Bowl. In the Mity Mite division, we got Cypress White playing Cedar Valley White. Both 4-6 on the year. It's pretty amazing. Their strength of schedule is almost identical. It's almost identical.
And they did play earlier.
What happened there?
Cedar Valley White with the win, 7-6, the extra point.
7-6. It's amazing because in all the matchups we looked at yesterday, the biggest differentiation was 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But that was only one game. Most everything else, John, was either a 1-point loss or a 6-point loss.
Yep. This is going to be a good one. Because I know that Cedar Valley White team, they started off, they had a rough time to start. And the reset.
Really helped?
Yeah, really helped them.
And so they're picking up a little steam. Well, if we go up a bowl, we've got Cedar Valley Black playing Viewmont White in the Wolverine Bowl.
Same thing.
Cedar Valley, it looks like they lost quite a few to start the season. And now are picking up speed.
That age group was, of course, I coach, been working with the whole age group, and it got decimated of players pretty good. So they.
But in that age group, in the Mity Mite age group at Cedar Valley, you've got 3 teams, and all 3 are going to be playing in a bowl championship this year.
Yep.
So it looks like we need to tweak the schedule, make things a little harder for next year.
Well, we all started off hard. I know that. Every one of them was getting, I know the black team had a really rough opener.
But the point is we would rather have you start off a little more difficult and then get the reset. You're now prepared to play in tournament play.
Well, I think that's why they're winning now, because they played the harder games first, which has made the reset feel a little bit. It's easier when you start off with those harder games and then get seated down on a reset. Some of those games can seem.
Yeah, but parents don't like that.
No, they don't.
Coaches don't like that either. because they're dialed in on the win-loss record. Remember, we did a podcast where I said 0-5 can be greater than 5-0. Yeah, it's a mathematical equation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But hey, this show isn't about Cedar Valley. It's about all the teams.
It's all just
so
about.
So how's Viewmont White going to fare this week against your black team?
I think
they're a good team.
No, Viewmont White's tough. I don't know. That should be an interesting game because I know the records would look like Viewmont White and very well could be. That Cedar Valley, the black team is an interesting group. Never know what's going to pop out, but I think that Viewmont White team is scrappy.
Moving on to the Trailblazer Bowl. We've got in the Mity Mite division, Wasatch White against Mountain Ridge Gray. Mountain Ridge has a few teams in the championships also. I think they got 3 teams in the Mity Mites and championships. That's a good age group.
They're very strong in this age group.
They've got a lot of kids doing well. But if you look at strength of schedule, you know, they're pretty much neck and neck with Wasatch White. And their records are identical. You know, you look at points scored versus points given. I mean, one team's given up 11.9 points a game. The other one's given up 10.4. So strategically on a defensive side, these teams are pretty closely matched.
That's going to be a good game.
Have they played each other, John?
Nope. These two, well, let me just make sure. Nope. I think we only had one Mity Mite matchup that had happened before.
Okay, moving up to the Badger Bowl. We've got East versus Taylorsville. Again, these two teams played really, really tough schedules in the beginning. Their strength of schedule is almost identical again. East is giving up 17 points a game. Taylorsville's giving up 22 points a game. So there's a touchdown differentiation there, but they're scoring almost identical. I don't know. This is kind of a toss-up in the Badger Bowl. I'm just happy for both teams because they struggled hard to begin, and now they're finishing on a very high note.
Taylorsville had some pretty tough opening games. They really had it rough in the start.
They did. Okay, Thunderbird Bowl. Riverton Gray, Wasatch Black. You know, one of the things I love about doing this show this time, we've never done this before, is it gives us the opportunity to talk about all of the teams. Whether they're a B team, a B1 team, or they're an A team. It gives us a chance in a division to talk about all the teams. And, you know, we go to a lot of work trying to figure out who's supposed to play who and get a lot of complaining. But when you start looking at the numbers at the end of the year, we're pretty dang close. These games should be really good games. No,
they're good, and especially with all the quote-unquote B teams, there's a lot of good teams, and it's really hard to get them set up right, especially in the early part of the year. But it seems like they've leveled out, and you know they're ready to go. The black teams are the tricky part, I think.
Yeah, but they're not any trickier than, you know. And we've got a new format for next year. We're not getting into that today, but we think we can take this actually to another level of competitiveness. So in the Thunderbird Bowl, Riverton Gray, Wasatch Black. I have not seen either of these teams play, but we've been watching them all year long on paper. Well, on the computer. Man, I'm showing my age. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving to the Wildcat Bowl. Riverton Black versus Granger. This is a toss-up.
I have seen Granger, and they've turned things around, obviously, because they struggled early, and they're not the normal big, huge Granger team. So this should be an interesting matchup.
But Riverton Black has some athletes. You
They're
know,
gonna be good.
they can score points, and they. So the thing is can Granger keep Riverton off the scoreboard? That's the key, because Riverton Black can score some points.
Yes, they can.
They're doing quite well in that arena.
I know a lot of Granger's points given up might have been just over a couple games too, so that could be deceiving. But yeah, that's a lot of points scored for Riverton Black.
Absolutely. So we're not saying Riverton Black's schedule is easy. We're saying they know how to put points in the end zone.
And they play good defense too.
And they're playing some really good defense. So
that's a good team.
That's the Wildcat Bowl. Riverton Black versus Granger. We'll see. We'll be watching that one. In the Aggie Bowl, Cedar Valley versus Mountain Ridge White. Now, Mountain Ridge White, I'm not talking about Cedar Valley because I don't want to talk about Cedar Valley. Mountain Ridge White played Murray to a 4-overtime game. They got beat on a pass play over the middle. Little breakdown in coverage. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had their backs against the wall. Came up with a big play in the 4th overtime. Now, what was the score in that overtime to start?
It was 0-0.
0-0. Mountain Ridge White couldn't score. Murray couldn't score. A great football game.
I'm going to tell you what, Mountain Ridge White had their back against the wall multiple times through the game and held up.
Oh, you've been scouting them.
I was freezing through that one watching. But they were scrappy, and when the game was on the line, they stiffened up, but they were tough. 9-1, I can see why they're 9-1.
So your team, Cedar Valley, struggled early.
Had some tough games early. Alta, Fremont.
But they seem to be kind of peaking, one, at the right time. Mm-hmm. 2, you haven't been giving up many points here going down the stretch.
Well, it's my first experience with the kids, and it takes time. You know, when you're new with a program, it takes time to learn the kids and get them in the right places, and they're starting to gel.
So I'm going to ask you this question. Your goal was to get your kids up into the Ute Bowl this year.
Yes.
You had a couple tough losses.
Clearfield, thank you, Clearfield. You derailed us completely.
Well, they not only derailed you, they put some points on you.
Well, that game, we were climbing to the Ute Bowl, and that game just hit us like an anchor. It dropped us so bad. And, I mean, Clearfield.
So what you're saying is, even though you have a hand in this, we go where we go.
Yeah.
And but next year, you've got something for your kids to shoot for.
Yeah, no, they'll climb now. They'll climb. Confidence was a big thing. But
so this is the Aggie Bowl. Cedar Valley versus Mountain Ridge. You're playing at 12 at
12:30.
12:30 at Juan Diego. Come out. John will be signing autographs. He'll have his Doomsday Defense shirt on.
We're doing our own version of it.
Well, don't copy the Dallas Cowboys. Don't.
What are you talking about? I get the flex defense.
Yeah, I'll flex. Oh, wait, we've already got coaches doing that. Okay, on to the Cougar Bowl. Viewmont versus Orem. What do you know about Viewmont and Orem, John?
Viewmont's, they're turning it on now. They're starting to play. And Orem.
But they started out a little bit rough, too.
Well, they had, once again, the way the schedule is this year, there was nowhere to hide at the beginning of the year. And these teams, Viewmont, Orem, too, they had really rough schedules. And especially Orem. Orem, their record doesn't reflect how good the team is. The team is probably a Ute Bowl level team. I mean, last year they were in they went to the second round of the U Conference Championship. And they picked up some extra players this year and really could have probably used a B team. And, it's harder when you have one team to manage all the different levels of kids.
So strength of schedule overall is going to favor Orem. But Viewmont is, honestly, they're a surprise. In the Mighty Mite division, I think Viewmont's come a long ways. Watched them play up at Wasatch early in the year. Or they played actually, I think, at your place, but I saw that game. So, any rate, we'll see what happens in the Mighty Mite division.
That's going to be a good game. Very good game.
Ute Bowl, Syracuse versus Copper Hills. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Syracuse kind of shocked me. They're playing some good football.
Both the teams shocked me to get to this point. They both did.
So would you say they've overachieved?
No, I think they're good teams. I just was surprised that they made it in there, with the road they had.
I mean, oh my gosh, if you're Copper Hills, you're going to want to watch the high school game this Friday at 3 o'clock. They got a big kid in the middle who goes up, makes a one-handed interception. There's nothing like an X-Man taking the grab out of the air and rumbling down the field. It was awesome. But it'll be a highlight on the playoff game on this Friday on, I don't know what they're calling it, Friday Night Rivals, but it'll be Friday Afternoon Rivals.
Friday Afternoon Rivals.
So, Syracuse versus Copper Hills. Any predictions?
I'm going to have to side with Syracuse on this one.
You think Syracuse is the team?
I don't know. Copper Hills, scrappy. They got a super running back. He is really good.
He's really good. I watched him play Westlake last weekend.
If you bottle him up, you're all right. In Syracuse, I don't know. I think I'm going to lean to Syracuse, but I'm not sure.
Oh, now he's waffling.
Yeah,
he makes
they're good
pancakes in his extra time.
They're good teams.
He's flipping back and forth.
These are good matchups, really. It's hard to call.
Okay, and next week we will talk about Stansbury versus Mountain Ridge in the UC Championship game.
I love the Mighty Mite division.
Mighty Mite division is very deep. We've had some great football games. And honestly, it is tough to watch people be out. But hey, it's a tournament.
It is.
Winner, you go home. So we're going to move on now to the Gridiron division. And I'm going to say the Gridiron division is not as deep as the Mighty Mite division. You have some definite lines of drop-off, but some great games.
Well, the two
in those competitive areas.
The two I thought were unbeatable on a collision course.
Didn't happen.
Nope.
They're both out.
That's why we play.
Absolutely. You don't play on paper. You don't play on your computer screen. Nor do you play on your Xbox.
Nope.
We played on the field. Okay, starting with the Mountain Championship in the Gridiron division. Tooele White, Mountain Ridge Gray. I need to call that grandpa up that was saying, "Oh, please let our kids play." They're all in championships.
Yes, they are.
Tooele's had a decent year, and we don't care what level they're on, but they're playing on Championship Bowl Saturday in the Ute Conference, and that says something because we feel like we're getting to a point where anybody can beat anybody in these games.
You know what I like about the whole system, the whole setup is look through it. How many teams did not win a game? There's very few.
I don't know that I even looked at that.
I need to look at it because you get my experience with other conferences. You can get if you're in trouble.
30% of your teams with 0 wins.
They had 0 wins. Some teams don't even score. And
everybody's scoring points. Right. Everybody's playing competitive games.
They get competitive football.
So what do you think? We had 429 teams. How many teams didn't get a win in the Ute Conference?
I'm going to say, if I had to guess, 5 to 10 at most. I think majority.
We will look at that.
Yeah, we got to check that out.
But that is, 4 years ago when I kind of introduced this idea to the mass board, our average game differential was 28 points a game. Who wins in that? Nobody, because the team winning, blowout. The team losing, blowout. That doesn't work. So we're going to keep fine-tuning this. We want to make sure, and maybe instead of the reset being at week 5 for next year, maybe we shorten that reset to week 4. Because at week 4, we got a pretty good idea where teams need to go, and then we refine it a couple more times before we get to playoffs.
Yep.
I don't know. A lot has to do with the scheduling. But in the Mountain Division, or the Mountain Bowl Championship, we got Twilla White, Mountain Ridge Gray. I hope a couple of these Twilla teams pull off an upset and David slays Goliath.
In this case, I think we got David's fighting David's.
Perfect.
It is perfect. Honestly, it's a fair fight.
I'm telling you, Twilla, don't go play the name on the jersey.
No.
Go play your game. You can compete with anybody.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I think that'll be a very good game, actually.
The Continental Bowl Championship is going to put Park City White versus Viewmont White.
And they already played once.
Uh-oh. What happened there?
Park City White, 7-6.
7-6. Oh, another head-to-head game.
These are
coming back to the championship now, and a 1 point. Oh, extra points are important.
And they kind of know each other now, so that should be a.
Strength of schedule's identical. Records are almost identical.
That's a good game.
Is there going to be an upset?
I don't know which one would be the upset. That should be a good game.
This is a toss-up.
Yeah.
This is a political race. Who's going to stuff the ballot box?
I'm calling Viewmont.
Because Park City won the first one? Mm-hmm. It's tough to beat a team twice in a season.
Very hard. It's always the hardest.
Okay, Wolverine Bowl. Corner Canyon White versus Fremont White. So this is a brand new team up at Fremont. They split into 2 teams. Both teams are in championships on Bull Saturday. I don't know. Corner Canyon is always a tough customer. Records are the same. They've scored pretty close to the same amount of points. Given up. Corner Canyon's given up a few more points on defense than Fremont White. Strength of schedule definitely favors Corner Canyon White. But this is another toss-up.
You never know. Those northern teams, the new teams.
But it's hard to tell.
It is. Because the way they're splitting their teams, too, seems like their white teams or whatever are tough. Some of them are really tough. So.
Well, I think part of that is being new to the Ute Conference. Okay, in the Trailblazer Bowl, Northridge White, Mountain Ridge White. Now, Northridge has had a really, really, really good season. Sitting there at 8-2. Mountain Ridge White, 5-4. Strength of schedule, they're about even. But they're both scoring points. Northridge needs a championship.
They're
Kick that new district off.
They can score. The other teams some of them had a pretty rough season.
They did, but
they wrapped up strong.
They're finishing strong.
Yeah, they did.
They really like the reset from what I'm hearing up there.
It's good for the community.
So, that's the Trailblazer Bowl. Northridge White, Mountain Ridge White. In the Badger Bowl Championship in the Gridiron Division is Westlake and Hillcrest. Now, those are 2 teams I'm happy to see in the championship. Hillcrest, Battlers, didn't give up. Thought everything was stacked against them. They were one of those 0-5s, and now they're moving forward. Westlake, only one game ahead of them. Now they're moving forward.
I think both those teams well, I don't know if Hillcrest won in the regular season. No,
I don't believe they did.
No, Westlake had one win.
So, at any rate, it's
They turned it around in the playoff.
yeah, absolutely.
They did. That should be a
Strength
good
of schedule is identical. Their points for, points against, almost identical. This is going to be a
Pretty even matchup.
pretty even matchup. Thunderbird Bowl, Stansbury White versus Cedar Valley Black.
Ooh, I am excited to see that game. That Stansbury White team apparently is pretty large and pretty good. Well, obviously the record. I had a few people not happy with me that they had to play them.
But strength of schedule definitely goes to the Stansbury White team. They have played a tougher schedule than Cedar Valley Black overall. So, have they played each other, John?
No, they have not played each other. This should be a good game because I know that Cedar Valley Black team's pretty tough too. The record,
Well, the way we're talking, it sounds like Stansbury White's got it in the bag.
I think they'll get a fight here. Stansbury White's going to get a fight here. But that 9-1 record, the points, 31 points a game,
They're scoring.
and they're not giving any. They're not even giving up a touchdown. That's a really good team.
Did we miss here? Are they too low?
No, I don't think they are. I don't know. I'm not sure.
We're watching you, Stansbury White.
Yeah.
But more than that, Cedar Valley Black, we are watching you.
Don't be surprised if there's an upset here.
Okay? In the Wildcat Bowl, Harriman Black versus Corner Canyon Black. Two black teams, identical records, strength of schedule, identical.
These are toss-ups.
This is a toss-up.
Yeah.
Points scored, points against, almost identical.
Should be a great game.
This is a really, really good game to watch. I don't know who wins this one.
No, that's going to be a toss-up.
First time matchup. Hope you guys got film on each other. You've worked hard. Good seasons. Okay, moving up to the Aggie Bowl. We got Park City versus Bingham White. Park City has definitely had a much stronger strength of schedule. Bingham White is scoring a lot of points, giving up hardly any. They are undefeated.
They weren't too happy with me either, where they got put. Usually,
If they're not happy with you, they're not happy with me either.
well, usually they get mad because they get put up too high. They wanted to be higher. So this is the reverse. The reverse one, they thought they were disrespected and put too low. Now, their games have been tougher. I think they realize now that maybe they're in the right spot because this should be – I think this is going to be a tough game.
Well, their last games are against Orem, West Jordan, Granger, and East. So this is and Park City, on the other hand,
Who did they just beat?
Bingham Black.
They beat Bingham Black?
Yep. So Park City gets to play Bingham 2 weeks in a row. Two different teams. So you're saying the Bingham White team thinks they're better than the Bingham Black team?
I think they think that.
Wow. Okay.
But
there's a challenge right here.
yeah, no, this should be a good game.
Okay, so Park City, they're coming for you.
Yep.
They got something to prove.
I'll tell you this.
The matchup's good.
When the white team is wanting more, I like that. That tells me a lot about the
Tells us a
attitude.
lot about the coach.
Yep. I like that. So you can fuss at me all you want. If you want to fuss about going up higher, by all means. I hope you prove me wrong.
Okay, in the Cougar Bowl, Fremont versus Kearns. Boy, I'm happy to see Kearns in there.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Both identical records, strength of schedule, almost even. Points for, they're both averaging about 16 points a game.
It's a toss-up.
Points against, they're both averaging right about 16 points a game. It's close. This is really, really close.
Yeah, it's a toss-up.
So Fremont Kearns, you're the nightcap up at Fremont High School this Saturday. Going to get some prime time under the lights.
That'll be fun.
Real fun. In the Ute Bowl, Olympus versus Cedar Valley. Actually, this is a really good matchup.
And they have played.
Oh, what happened in that game?
Olympus 7-0.
7-0. So they know each other. Records are almost identical. You know, Olympus was really close to being in the top 8.
Yeah, they were.
Cedar Valley was a little further down.
Cedar Valley had some upsets to get here, I think.
Well, let's check.
Didn't they beat Alta? Was it Alta?
They played in their last 3. They played Corner Canyon, Viewmont, and Riverton.
Oh, the Riverton team. That was a tough one, wasn't it?
So, good matchup.
Yeah, this should be a good one.
See where we go. And then in the UC Championship, we'll talk about next week. We've got Bingham versus Harriman.
The upset. The upset special. That's going to be a good game. Yeah, that's going to be a really good game.
In our rankings, we got 2 versus 4.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game.
And I watched the Bingham-Brighton game. Excellent football game. Didn't see Harriman, but Harriman and Mount Ridge. What are we talking about these? That's next week, John.
You know what's hard as a coach, we're out there watching these coaches, and they put a lot into prepping for these games, and it's hard that their emotions can overrun them. You know, when things start going a little bit south, it's hard for a coach to to dial in and just not focus on the bad call or whatever they think, the bad play.
You know, I gotta. Now that you bring that up, you're right, because I witnessed coaches melting down over. And coaches, if you lose your composure, so does your team. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult to bring your team back. Even though your composure may come back, it's difficult to bring that team back. But 2 weeks ago, in the Mity Mite division, I was at the Stansbury-Harriman game. 7-7. Oh. Harriman had them right where they wanted them. And a muff punt, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on a player, and then a pick 6 was the difference in a game, and all of that happened in 3 minutes.
Just like
that. But to the credit of the Harriman coaches, they didn't lose their minds. But it can turn so fast on you, and your composure on the sidelines dictates how your kids finish. Now, that was too much to overcome. It was way too much to overcome with too little time on the clock. But dang, they were right there.
That's what's good about football is anything can happen. I mean, you can be on either side of that. When you think you can't beat a team, you never know. You never know. You got to keep dialed in.
That concludes our gridiron. Now we're to the big boys.
Oh, yeah. This came right down. It's boiling down exactly what we wanted.
Some great matchups here.
Yes, real
Some
good.
great matchups. Okay, we're going to start with the Continental Bowl. We've got Corner Canyon Gray versus Stansbury White. Bantam division. Records are close. Points scored, almost identical. Points given up, almost identical. In a lot of scenarios, these teams would have quit.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're competing on Bowl Championship Saturday.
Yep.
Strength of schedule. Both had the same strength of schedule. I mean, the stars are aligned. One of these guys are walking out of there with a ring. The other's not. But they had a reason to keep playing at the end of the year. That's our goal. We don't want anybody quitting after week 4 or week 5, because here comes the reset. You get realigned, get more opportunities, because in this, we don't have any 0-10s playing for a championship. We don't have any 1-9s playing for championships. You got to win 2 or 3 down the stretch, but it gives you a reason to play. So that's the Continental Bowl in the Bantam division. Corner Canyon Gray versus Stansbury White. Wolverine Bowl. Mountain Ridge White versus Brighton Black. Boy, I was mad over this Brighton Black team to start the season. You know, the schedules are tough. They were supposed to be 2 teams. They're supposed to be a black and a white.
That's right.
But the team, in fact, we had the schedule mostly done.
We were done, weren't we?
And we had to go back and revamp over this team.
I forgot about that.
But they only had 8 or 9 kids showing up to practice. That's not right either. Mm-mm. So they put the team together. Now they're playing for a championship. They're scoring some points. They're giving some points up, but, you know, strength of schedule. Mountain Ridge White has a lot more kids. This is a toss-up.
See, Mountain Ridge has turned it around this age group, too.
Oh, they have. Absolutely, they have.
This used to be...
This was their toughest age group. They were not very good. Mm-mm. And we've got 2 Mountain Ridge teams now.
Well, didn't they get a bunch of kids back?
They got a bunch of kids back. They went and tried out another conference, and they decided, nah, I don't like driving to Utah County every week. Nah, the competition's not as good. And they didn't like the fact that there was, you know, to a degree, there's not very many rules that they enforce down there.
Right.
And that's sad, because you have to enforce rules, especially today. Because if you don't, you have chaos.
I'd love to see some of those teams down there, because they got some good teams.
Absolutely. They got some really good teams.
It'd be fun to see.
What I'd like to do is I'd love to see a way to unify football here in Utah.
It'd be nice, but, I mean, it requires a unified rule set and rule enforcement.
Rule enforcement, and it requires, because the end-all, be-all is not your win-loss record. Mm-mm. The end-all, be-all is the experience for the kids.
That's right.
And keeping these kids loving the game of football through their youth experience on into high school.
How many of these kids get to play high school?
Not very many, no. Especially in the big districts.
You got to make this good for them, because they don't get to play anymore.
So in the Wolverine Bowl of the Bantam Division, Mountain Ridge White, Brighton Black, it's on. Trailblazer Bowl, Riverton Gray, Grantsville White. Riverton had some good teams in this Bantam Division. Mm-hmm. They kind of faded down the stretch. But Riverton Gray, 7-3, playing a 9-1 Grantsville White. That's a...
That Grantsville White team's not a joke.
No, absolutely not.
Nope. They can score.
They're scoring a lot of points. They're both giving up the exact amount of points. Strength of schedule goes to Grantsville White a little bit. This is another toss-up. Have they played each other in the season?
Actually, let's see. We did have, going back down to Corner Canyon Gray and Stansbury
we missed that
White.
one, didn't we?
Yep, Corner Canyon Gray beat Stansbury White 12-6, but these two have not played. We have a couple more up
another
above.
6-point game.
Yep.
And they didn't score their extra points. Okay, so these two haven't played each other. That's the Trailblazer Bowl, Riverton Gray versus Grantsville White. The Badger Bowl, Harriman Gray versus Riverton White. So we got another Riverton team in there. Their black team and their A team, like I said, kind of faded down the stretch. I thought we'd see them in a championship game. But here we've got two very closely matched teams, semi-rivals out there in the south end of the valley.
Harriman's a track meet on offense. They can score.
Harriman Gray can score. In fact, I talked to their no, wrong coach. I'll get to him in a second. They can score. So they're these are good teams. Strength of schedule definitely favors Harriman Gray. But we're playing the game Saturday in the Badger Bowl. That's Harriman Gray, Riverton White. Moving to the Thunderbird Bowl. We've got Cedar Valley versus Bingham Gray. I've seen the Cedar Valley team play. I watched them play against Viewmont. They could upset this team. Now, Bingham Gray, they're good. This team, I've talked to their coach. They put together their team in the spring. They did all the 7-on-7s. He told me they had their offense installed.
It's obvious.
They can score points with the best of them.
Mm-hmm. I think that's Cedar Valley's problem.
Cedar Valley's problem is putting points on the board.
But
they've got the athletes. They've got some size.
I look at them, I can't quite figure it out. But its scoring is it's the problem.
Got to put the football in the end zone.
And I think they've turned a corner there.
Yeah, because they had a tough start.
Yeah, they had a rough opening schedule.
But again, their strength of schedule definitely is in favor of Cedar Valley. But
this could be a good game.
You know, it should be a really good game. But can they defend the pass? Because Bingham Gray's going to put it in the air.
We'll see.
Okay, that's the Thunderbird Bowl. Wildcat Bowl, Bantam Division is East versus Granger.
I know these two played earlier.
Oh, they did?
Yes, they did.
How'd they do?
East 12, Granger 7.
Another 5-point game.
Mm-hmm. So this one's these two teams are a lot alike.
This is almost one of those old school rivalry.
Yep.
East, the number 4 district in the Ute Conference. Granger, the number 10 district in the conference. Been around since I played.
It's nice to see them battling it out here. I know when I came into the conference, both those districts were,
very, very strong.
Yeah, formidable. Every time you played them, you were in a battle.
Points scored, almost identical. East has given up a few more points than Granger on defense. I don't know. It's going to come down who makes the fewest mistakes, it looks like, in this game.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Wildcat Bowl, East versus Granger in the Bantam Division. Aggie Bowl, Orem versus Bingham Black. So, who's better, Bingham Black or Bingham Gray?
I'm calling Bingham Black.
You're calling Bingham Black.
I would say Bingham Black. But I can't say for sure because I haven't seen them.
Strength of schedule favors Orem. They've had a tougher road.
Mm-hmm.
Bingham Black is giving up far fewer points than Orem.
Bingham Black's had a pretty good. They had a pretty tough opener, I think, too, if I remember right.
Opener where?
Opening set, or what, did they have a tougher reset?
Well, Orem had a tough opener. They beat Grantsville, and then they beat Northridge. Bingham Black played Hunter, which is a good team, and Viewmont. So take nothing away from either of these teams. I think this is a battle brewing, man.
Yep.
Okay, that's the Aggie Bowl. Orem versus Bingham Black. Cougar Bowl. Got another Olympus team playing West.
And they played early on.
What
Not
happened
early.
there?
Actually, week number 6. They played in the reset. Olympus 21, West 13.
Oh, that happened up at Brighton. I saw that game. Yeah, there for a minute, neither could play defense. They were both scoring at will on each other. And then they settled in and got things under control. Yeah.
This could be a fun one.
It could be a fun one.
West is really little, though, right?
No. No. You don't want the West team stepping on the scale. But I'll tell you what, Olympus is very athletic. And their coach does a very nice job with them. So
It's pretty even matchup.
absolutely. And I'm I don't know.
Yeah,
My leans towards West, but
that's going to be. Where's that game at?
I feel like Olympus is, coach, is a little better coached. I don't have that off the top of my head where
I'm
they're
trying to
playing.
remember where that one is. That's going to be a good one. Fun one to watch.
Okay, now it's the Cougar Bowl. Let's go to the Ute Bowl. Mountain Ridge versus Alta.
Well, here you see Mountain Ridge. Last year they were way down the
I don't think they
list.
won a game last year.
They
Maybe
were.
2 games, 1 game or 2. That wasn't very good.
Major transformation.
Got a bunch of kids back from the other conference.
And they've gotten better as the season's gone on, too.
They have. They're kind of gelling at the right time. Now, Alta, we had the Alta boys in here for our media day. They told us they were the house of pancake.
Taking people to the pancake house.
I don't know. I'm not seeing it. They're
tough. They're scrappy.
they're physical. I think their skill positions are lacking.
And they've had a tougher schedule too.
They have had a tougher schedule. Not by much.
Just in the age group, they've had one of the tougher ones.
So I guess I had higher expectations of Alta this year but Mountain Ridge has definitely exceeded expectations this year.
Surprised to see Alta Black got beat.
Alta Black was a good team, absolutely.
Yes, I was really surprised to see them get beat. The
Who
Mountain Ridge
did
Alta.
they play?
Oh goodness.
Oh, they got beat by Olympus.
Yeah, that's right.
So, you know what? Olympus, back to the Olympus West, they're formidable. That Alta Black team was good.
I didn't know how good they were exactly, but
That was their only loss to Olympus.
Did they even lose last year?
I don't recall.
I don't know if they even lost.
But Mountain
last
Ridge
year.
versus Alta.
This should be a good game.
It's the nightcap at Alta, or out at Mountain Ridge. And so if you were scheduled to play at Mountain Ridge, please check your schedules because we had a bunch of changes. We do not have the 2 middle game slots at Mountain Ridge High School. We have 2 in the morning, 9 and 10:45, and we have the 5:45 and the 4 o'clock at Mountain Ridge High School.
And 2 of the games that were there had to get moved. So
You know what?
sorry.
Fun season.
Sorry
Fun
about
season. lots of great games. If the kids walk away just remembering how good the games were. 75% of our games in the last 2 weeks have been 2 touchdowns or less. That's the goal. Because you can have a 1-touchdown game, be right in it, and have what happened to the Harriman Mity Mites. Pick 6 down the stretch, boom, game over. And then you can have, in the Gridiron division, we had 2 really solid games with Harriman and Syracuse. Syracuse wins the first one, Harriman wins the second one. First one, Syracuse gets out on a lead. Harriman creeps back. Second one, Harriman gets out on a lead. Syracuse creeps back. Good, solid football games. You get a win?
Of course. Winston had to pay the refs off to make sure we got pushed down because he was scared on my team.
Winston Jones. I heard he's entered the transfer portal.
I don't know.
He's moving from Cyprus. His boy's gonna be playing at Murray next year, so he's in the transfer portal. He's looking for a head coaching job, Murray.
You never know. I never know with all these rumors.
Well, this has been a blast. Next week, we will talk about the Ute Conference champions, and maybe we'll get some of the coaches in here. We had 51 games this Saturday. It was too many to get the coaches in here, but we got 6 games next week.
Maybe we can get some. Maybe we can get a little panel together.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah. Get some of the gang.
All right. So, check our UC sounding board. Going to put a couple things up there. I said yesterday, God bless social media. It gets all the IQ levels in the same pen. Oh, wait. Maybe not. It gives people a voice, but sometimes they don't have any idea what goes on behind the scenes. And everybody thinks it's a lot easier than it is. But we're going to put a couple things up there. Like, nationally, people are losing, there's no weight limits anymore because of insurances don't care. Because it's not a safety issue. I know we hear all the time, oh, you don't think it's safe. You don't protect my kid. Well, if insurance companies who rule the world are saying they don't care who carries the ball, should we? Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're going to put that out there to have a little bit of a debate. But I will, I'll craft that when I get a little bit of time. And there's some other things. People don't understand why we have 80-yard fields. Some of these kids, I ask you, how many 8, 9, 10, 12 play drives do we have in Little League football?
Most scores are breakaways.
They're breakaways. So what, you want them to run an extra 20 yards?
I mean,
Oh, and we got a fun podcast coming. If it's been written, said, we're going to share it with you. Because
we do take a beating, don't we?
Oh, occasionally. But, we smile. We love it. We love the kids. It's fun.
You know what I
But we're going
read?
to share you with some of the TikToks, some of the tweets.
You know what I read?
What'd you read?
Someone's order was wrong at McDonald's, and it was the Ute Conference's fault.
I thought it was Taco Bell, but hey, who's counting?
Oh,
Okay, Jeff Gorange, John Halliburton, this is the Extra Point. Let's have a great Bowl Championship Saturday. We're out.
See you later.
This conversation is now over.